At least 242 people are dead after an Air India plane crash just minutes after taking off in northwestern India. Let's go live to the newsroom to CV24's Andrew Brennan with the latest on what we know so far. Andrew.
Good morning, Jamie. And we're hearing as well about at least 5 medical students
close the door.
Who have been confirmed dead on the ground after debris from the plane hit them. Now, this is the latest information that we have. We, again, are trying to, at this point, still searching at this time for survivors, if there are any at all. But I want to bring in, to help us understand a little bit about what happened here, Steve Green is a retired aviation accident investigator, and we do appreciate your time, sir. The first thing I want to ask you, good morning, sir. I'm just looking a little bit at some of the possibilities here. I know there's some grainy footage out there, but is there any question about where the lift or potentially any of the pieces of the plane that were out of alignment? There has been some speculation. It is unfortunately, this is so early. I do not like being a speculator, but is that a potential possibility here?
You're absolutely right. It's very, very early. And I've looked at that video footage. About all I can say is it looks like a normal takeoff, and the airplane stopped climbing, not very high, and then began to sink. There's nothing else I can see in the video that looks abnormal or unusual or anything like that. So we're just going to have to wait and see what we get out of the investigation for why it stopped the climb.
Can you help us understand what goes into investigations from either transportation safety boards here in Canada or international counterparts? What are the steps that they go through after it goes from being a potential search and rescue to something where it's about finding out what happened?
Well, the first thing they're going to do is secure the site and begin to document the wreckage in very great detail. One of the things they're obviously looking for immediately are the 2 recorders, the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder. Those are essential, and they'll tell us an awful lot about what happened, regardless of what we see in the video and so forth. Once we get those recorders, we're going to have a much better picture of what had happened. But they're also going to document all of the wreckage, particularly looking at controls, cockpit controls, anything they can find to establish facts about what may have been involved. And once they have that documentation and the factual evidence collected, which can take quite a while, then they'll begin the process of analysis of what that all means. The real trick here is to not speculate and not begin to introduce suppositions about what may have happened before we have a chance to really look at all the factual evidence.
Steve, a few seconds ago, we have reports that at least one person is known to have survived. Police saying that a man was telling local media in India he heard a loud noise shortly after takeoff. When you were looking at that grainy footage and looking at the footage that we do have of this crash happening, did you expect that there could have been any survivors?
Honestly, no. You never say never. But my first thought this morning was that they were not going to find anybody. I did see that gentleman's report, and I'm certainly glad that he's able to give us that report. What it means, I have no idea. It's going to be important. It's another piece of the evidence.
The last piece that I just wanted to touch on with you is this is another Boeing aircraft. However, a Dreamliner has never been involved in an incident since they were put in service back in 2009. Right. Is there any part of the investigation that will look at prior issues that either from the manufacturing side that has been reported with Boeing or other aircraft, not this specific the 787 Dreamliner? Does that have any bearing on the investigation?
Not immediately. All of that stuff will become part of the factual evidence if it's determined to be relevant. My guess is there's probably not a relationship there, but the people who are doing the investigation are going to look at everything they can find, and that'll include whatever history there is and any of the previous issues. They're all going to be aware of that. How it plays into it, I think it's important to keep in mind that there's only 2 major manufacturers of large transport aircraft. So anytime anything happens, it's going to be one of those 2.
Very good point to remember. There is, of course, only two. Steve, we really appreciate your time. Steve Green is a retired aviation accident investigator, and we do appreciate your analysis and your expertise today.
Thanks, Andrew.
All right, Jamie, we're going to send it back to you as we look for more information. Again, it seems there's at least one survivor of what is an almost impossible thing to survive, miraculous.
Absolutely. CP24's Andrew Brennan, thanks for the update.